Goeiemorgen. Bonjour. Okay. Thank you very much. Program Director, let me thank you for granting me these few minutes to welcome everybody here. Let me start with our DVC. I recognize Professor Feza, who is our DVC for Research and Postgraduate Studies at the University of Venda. The DVC for Research, Innovation and Partnership in absentia, Professor Singh, DVC at the University of Limpopo, who is represented today by Prof. Rafapa. The President of Sahuda in absentia, Professor Pamela Maseko, the Deputy President of Sahuda, who is in our midst, Professor Masoha, our fellow Executive Deans for Humanities. May I kindly request all the Executive Deans for Humanities who are here just to stand up so that everybody can see them. My fellow Executive Deans. Thank you very much for that. Our honorable guest speakers from yesterday's session and those for today, our students and emerging and established scholars, all the conference presenters and participants, and the diverse stakeholders who are present here. On behalf of the conference organizing committee, under the leadership of Prof. Makashlela, allow me to welcome you all to the second day of the 2023 Biennial National Conference. The theme of the conference, as aptly reminded to us by my fellow Executive Dean, Professor Mawoto, in the opening message yesterday, is revealing of the current unimpressive global situation and the need for citizens to respond with agency. The prevailing conditions, as noted, are indicative of the imminent crisis that is confronting humanity. And this calls for our agent contribution as scholars and researchers to mitigate for the threat to the survival of humanities. That's the conference theme intends to ignite an array of debates and discussions that will craft some solutions to the myriad of challenges that are confronting humans globally, in the continent, in our country, and spheres of human faculties. As we enter today's presentations, may we be inspired to cooperate by the wise words of Henry Ford, who correctly said, I quote, "Coming together is beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." Ladies and gentlemen, I think you will all agree with me that yesterday, the first conference day, was very exciting. It was very fulfilling and a great success. Starting from the warm welcoming and encouraging messages that were delivered by the executive leadership from the conference co-hosting universities, the University of Venda and University of Limpopo, to the very insightful message from the President of Sahuda, which was followed by the response from our DVC Teaching and Learning from the University of Limpopo, Professor Madajin, and which was also followed by the powerful keynote address that was delivered by our honorable and internationally renowned scholar, our guest speaker, Professor Ramose, which focused on reshaping the one-dimensional man through the primacy of science and technology over philosophy. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe those who were in attendance will agree with me that this was a wonderful and inspirational scholarship presentation we had from one of the gurus of Ubuntu philosophy, as evidenced by the lively engagement with Prof. Ramose. Prof, we're grateful and we thank you for that keynote address. The keynote presentation by Prof was later followed by the great and refreshing presentations in the parallel sessions from many of you. These were presentations that shifted some of the boundaries and challenged our lenses and thinking about the current world situation and how we as scholars and researchers can provide a workable interventions. From yesterday's experience, I believe and am confident that today is going to be another exciting day where we will kick off with the address by the Office of the DVC, Research, Innovation and Partnerships from Limpopo, which will be followed by the day's keynote address and then the presentations in the parallel sessions. And please, I beg you to carefully check where you belong so that you do not lose some of these presentations that are going to take place. Further, among the great sessions of the day will be the Sahuda Roundtable that is going to be convened by the executive deans, focusing on the conference theme, which is Humanity's Imminent Crisis, an Urgent Call for the Restoration of Peace, Stability, and Well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to implore you to put on your safety belts as we are about to jet off to the next level of this conference. And please participate and enjoy the proceedings of the day. As Confucius once said, I quote, "Learn as if you were not reaching your goal, and as though you were scared of missing it." With those few words, Program Director, I wish to thank you and looking forward to the engagements. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Bantwini. I'm going to then, ask and call upon Professor Rafapa to address us, of course, on behalf of the Office of the Vice Chancellor, Research and Innovation and Partnerships in the University of Limpopo, Professor Jessica Singh, and Professor Rafapa, as he walks on to the podium, is the research professor in the Faculty of Universities, in the University of Limpopo, in the Faculty of Humanities. Prof. Rafapa, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Makhatlela, our program director. I recognize in absentia the University of Limpopo Vice Chancellor, Professor N.M. Mokhalong, the Univen VC, Sahuda President, Sahuda Vice President, Deans of Humanities and Social Sciences faculties, guest speakers, our revered guest speakers, Professor M. Makhatlela and the entire local organizing committee, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, I am not the DVC RIP, Research, Innovation and Partnerships of the University of Limpopo. I am clad in borrowed robes as the portfolio of research at UL, led by, ably by Dr. Mabila and Professor Singh, have just lent to me the robes. Of course, the borrowed robes not implying any conspiracy like the infamous Shakespearean characters whose borrowed robes actually inspired a revolt, betrayal, assassination, murder, commotion. I am the opposite. We at the University of Limpopo appreciate much the biannual conference of Sahuda. We appreciate much your episteme as a co-host. Of course, the backdrop of all our efforts in supporting your humble efforts at advancing research in South Africa, especially for previously disadvantaged communities. Our backdrop and episteme and vantage points coincide with yours. We are mindful as the University of Limpopo that philosophy comes before science. Episteme is behind the animals driving research. We are aware as the University of Limpopo that all our efforts should be concentrated towards negating some kind of philosophy that has actually done the opposite of being in pursuit of the truth. Professor Ramos yesterday very cogently indicated and highlighted that science doesn't come before philosophy. The so-called ancient philosophy of Greece and Rome in classical times doesn't predate African philosophy. I remember when I headed the UNISA Department of English Studies saying to Khomuzo Masemola, coincidentally was the president of Sahuda Island after going to the UNIT. The fact that you spent a lot of time in Europe doesn't mean that it was always voices to use above African sages and thinkers. So the enemy must drive you, the enemy must drive us as the University of Limpopo. Ladies and gentlemen, our humble efforts towards supporting Sahuda and NIHSS partnership, as we learned and as we know, has produced about 600 PhDs, the first project, 37 of whom come from the University of Limpopo. And we also know gloating with pride that about 50% of the cohort of the PhD students have graduated a feat, more than 50%. Ladies and gentlemen, as we coincide with the episteme and vantage point of Sahuda and NIHSS, there are ways in which we support research in the University of Limpopo. Of course, mindful of the fact that since the evolution of research in ancient Greece, in the days of structuralism, post-structuralism, modernism, post-modernism, and today we're speaking of transmodernism. All these isms we know are masked and are meant to disavow what is said to be a racist agenda, traversing the whole globe, effacing the truth, and disowning the originality and authenticity of thinking from races other than white, since we all became so obsessed with the pigment at the cost of all other human endowments. We know that during Enlightenment, before Enlightenment, humanism was one. During Enlightenment, European humanism divorced science from spirituality. African humanism continued and said, it is not scandalous to remain mystical and spiritual in a scientific world, while the other side of the equation said, man is at the center of humanity, all other is subservient. But today the same people are saying, speaking in folk chants, in eco-critical literature, they are saying, man is not the center of the world, nature is at the center and all the components are equal. Man, water, air, animate nature, inanimate, trees, lakes are all equal, and that's why they are now talking of eco-criticism, which was always there in African thinking. African humanists have always believed that not only man is at the center, they believe that there is a supreme being present in all nature and animates everything, and man is not more important than water, the trees, and all that, because the Greeks talk of the arche, which is the animals giving life to animate and inanimate, and man can thus never be above them. So we have been consistent in pursuit of the truth. It is against that backdrop that, as the University of Limpopo was saying, our humble contributions in bolstering and supporting your efforts as Sahuda NIHSS are in the form of us making sure, number one, that when doctoral and master students register, their proposals are finalized, approved, and are issued with ethical clearance in the first 6 months. We set against the grain where there is a bit of comfort zone. As research leadership in the Faculty of Humanities, we said after registration, supervisors must reach out and start supervising in 24 hours. And we sounded insane, but we proved that it is practicable, because supervision doesn't mean chapter 1, doesn't mean a complete proposal. It means reaching out and saying, the MOU, how long do you take to submit a chapter or a proposal after I've marked, and so on and so on. We have bolstered, in response to the National Doctoral Review, our systems, and now at the University of Limpopo, in line with our quality improvement plan, after a supervisor and a supervisee have started the journey before formal registration, because when we register formally, already we want an MOU that happened before formal registration. We are saying, in the first month, we want a progress report from the student. That will be escalated to the supervisor. 3 months after registration, we caution the student with a warning letter that you are left with less than 2 months before you might face termination, so that we intervene. We intervene. We do not take our students to the guillotine, and we do not actually pride ourselves in cutting short the careers of our students. I believe this has paid dividends. I'm reporting back to you so that you can see that your efforts are not unnoticed, they are not appreciated. We join forces with you. Our efforts are concerted with yours, and we live to the spirit of what Sahuda NIHSS are doing in advancing research, especially in formerly disadvantaged communities, including ours. I'm aware that I have only 10 minutes, so I must behave. I cannot go on and on and on and on. We remember always at US Univen that in the environment of an arsenal of technology meant globally to advance a racist, anti-black agenda, we cannot breathe. We cannot breathe. We're striving to breathe through our performance. We cannot breathe because what antagonizes our animals and inspiration is a very colossal machine that transcends historical time and territory, consistently negating the pursuit of truth, which cannot be divorced from our vantage point as Africans from science. From Justin Jian's murder in America in 1934, Michael Brown, murdered by American white police in 2014, to George Floyd, murdered by a white policeman in America, 25 May 2020, who said, "I cannot breathe. We cannot breathe. I cannot breathe with a huge colonial boot on my jugular because oxygen doesn't reach my brain. I cannot breathe. We cannot breathe. We are together in making sure that we breathe and negate the pernicious vantage point and perspective informing research meant not to pursue the truth, unlike African philosophy, unlike our scientific endeavors in supporting research. Thank you so much. I'm intimidated. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Rafapa. Mine was not to intimidate you, but just to remind you of the time. On that note, colleagues, I can continue. All right, thanks. Once again, let me announce that we have the book of condolence over there in honor of Professor Masemola. So let's keep on penning down our messages in the book there. He was also a member of the Sahuda, so please feel free to write those messages in the book there. So without wasting much time, I'm going to then call upon stage Professor Masura to come and introduce our keynote speaker. And of course, this item was supposed to be tendered by Professor Mashiga. Unfortunately, he's not here. So Professor Masura, please ascend the stage to introduce our keynote speaker. And of course, Professor Masura is the Executive Dean of Faculty of Humanities at Free State, the University of Free State. So he will do us the honor. Over to you, Prof.
Yes, good morning. Colleagues, you are not alive. Are you alive? Good morning. Yes, it's much better. Yes. Colleagues, my duty is a very small one to introduce to you Professor Feza, who is currently the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Postgraduate Studies. I nearly laughed a bit because earlier on when, I can't remember who said RIP, which actually stands for rest in peace. Probably, I hope it doesn't stand for that, Professor Feza. Rest in peace. Research, innovation, and partnerships. I think we are really privileged, especially to see now a cohort of women leaders coming up and really leading in the academia. And I think it's important, earlier on when Professor Bantwini was asking that we should have a number of deans who are present here to stand up, and we saw that a number of them are women. And I think we should clap hands for that. Yes, and I'm saying this because, and I know I'm not supposed to be making many comments, but we can see how different it is now to have women deans and leaders, even at the level of the DVC. And therefore, we really appreciate that fresh of this new weather which is coming in. Professor Nkosi, that you are bringing in at UNISA, Professor Shokani, Professor Mauto, Professor Feza, and others actually who left because they've got other commitments. So it is actually wonderful to see that. I think at some point, maybe 10 years to go, we might actually have a publication on your reflections as women. What does it mean? Some of the challenges that you meet, and some of them are meted to you by men, because you find that men actually organize and say, "Re tla montsha zomkhombisa namhlanje who we are." But I think it's wonderful, especially for the group of women, young women researchers that are with us today, to actually see that this is actually possible to go up on the ladder. So let me then come to the task. I have already said that Professor Nosisi Nelly Feza is the Deputy Vice Chancellor. As I said, RIP, but not for rest in peace. Professor Feza provides intellectual leadership and vision for the University of Venda in the area of research, innovation, knowledge exchange, and postgraduate studies. I think I need to add, and partnerships and collaborations. I think this should have been added on the profile here. Professor Feza obtained her PhD in mathematics education from the State University of New York at Buffalo in the United States of America, and a Master's of Education, Mathematics education from Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. She is a recipient of a Fulbright scholarship for a PhD program in the United States of America. Also, a recipient of the inaugural Leroy and Margaret Callahan Scholarship, and a recipient of a Leeds Bazaar UK. Can we clap hands for her? And as expected, I mean, a DVC in research must publish. She is well published, so you lead by examples. So she has really done even more than 25 articles. And she is, I see that it's not written here, she is an NRF-rated scholar, I know about that. It's not indicated here, but she is. And she also has published reports and book chapters and a book that she published and conference proceedings that she has published. So she is a solid, a well-established researcher. And we're really privileged to have you, Professor, this morning. We're really looking forward to your presentation. Her keynote address is titled, Agility of Higher Education Addressing and Capitalizing on Mental, Psychological Abnormalities and Deviations of Today's Societies for Sustainable Development. And I think it's a pleasure and honor for me to invite Professor Feza to come and address us. Let's welcome her. Clap again until she... Yeah.
Thank you so much. Highly appreciate it. Good morning, colleagues. Professor Feza is the shortest person in the room. So as I was sitting there, I was thinking, hey, trying to measure myself here. At least I feel a little bit better. And I was asking Prof. Bantwin, will I make it behind the podium? I would like to appreciate and the honor of having all our universities represented here. I want to acknowledge the presence of our University of Limpopo and all the seniors that are here, executive deans for this wonderful morning. And, oh yeah, because really I'm not good with that one. And also, I'm such a mobile person, so it's difficult for me to stand in one place like a reverend behind the podium. So please bear with me. I'd like to appreciate our guest speakers who are honoring us in this conference. One of the important things in the academia is to share knowledge and is to co-create knowledge and is to appreciate what knowledge does to the society. So it is wonderful to know that Prof. Sin is with us through breathing that I listened at this morning. It's wonderful to hear that all our DVC research that are honored to be part of this partnership are represented very well here, and I would like to thank the executive deans and deans who decided that this is very important for us to come together. If you look at my topic is saying agility. What do I mean by that? I mean flexibility. I mean being able to move with times and demands. In humanities, as we come here together, we have a huge role to play. But funny enough, the research fraternity was always nice for pure sciences. But if we talk about humanities, who practice those pure scientist activities? It's a human being. Who conceptualize them? It's a human being. Who designs? It's a human being. So who is the mother of all? That is why we are here today. We are trying to say humanities needs to take its own place in making sure that we survive. We survived HIV/AIDS in South Africa in the most beautiful manner. Do you still remember it? Because I think sometimes we forget it. The only way South Africans could survive that horrible time was to remember who they are. The people who at the center of who they are, Ubuntu is their philosophy. Do you still remember? There were foreign ideas about who is the child who has lost parents. Those foreign ideas like orphans, because that's foreign for an African child. We don't have orphans, but then we use the foreign language and foreign ideas. We realized that we can't have orphans again. We had to go back to who we are in our Ubuntu concept. I have a son of mine whom the mother passed on and the father passed on. And when he joined Nelson Mandela University, they told him he's an orphan. Then he phoned me and said, okay, thank you. It's this, okay, thanks. They told him, you are an orphan. Then he phoned me, he said, Sisi, they say I'm an orphan. I said, why are they saying that? I told them I have 5 mothers. Actually, I'm richer than anyone else around here, even them. I'm not an orphan because the biological mother passed on. So in our African concept, we don't have orphans. And I'm encouraging us, as we educate the young people who are now even talking about black tax. I don't know if you know black tax. We need to educate our children, because black tax mean there will be orphans. Black tax mean there will be isolation, there will be division. However, as we hear our children talking about black tax, let's reflect on ourselves. Why is it black tax now? What is it that went wrong that makes them to feel it is black tax? and start educating in our classrooms at the university level about this concept of black tax, understanding their lens on it, bringing our lens, but looking at the society and bring it in through our community engagement to teach ourselves about this new concept, black tax. Because if we allow it to fly and take its own direction, we are going to lose our identity. We must be very careful of these new concepts. So I am bringing that concept as you can see it. I want you to look at Ubuntu. What does it mean? It means I am because we are. So I am nothing without you. That's what it means. And I heard the recent colleague who was talking about breathing also saying the air is part of that, the water, the land. So I am because of the land, I am because of the air, I am because of the water. Until I understand that, the research I conduct will be useless and not impactful to the society. So I am bringing this concept in my talk, as I say, agility of higher education in addressing and capitalizing on mental, psychological abnormalities and deviations of today's society for sustainable development. We all know what COVID-19 did to us. I don't know about you. At Univen, we still have meetings that can end at 9. One ended at midnight one day. And I was like, what have become of us? We are no longer humans. We changed ourselves during COVID to machines. We got scared because the reason why we became machines, we got scared of losing our jobs. We avail ourselves 24 hours to our bosses. We lost our voices. We couldn't say, no, I can't have a meeting at 6 o'clock because it's family time. We couldn't say no. And now we are machines. Then what is happening to our mental beings? Were we born to be the machines we have become? Does becoming a machine today make you productive? Or are we making noise in these meetings where we end up not implementing anything? Because I don't understand if you are having these meetings that we are having every day until 9 or 12 midnight. When are you implementing? Because the meeting starts at 9. When are you reflecting? What about the cognitive structures of our brains? How are they working now? No wonder you will find us in the country making some progress, but going 5 steps behind. Just we make one, but the way we reverse very fast because we can't reflect, because we are in meetings all the time. I will show you what meetings do to people all the time. Now my presentation is about my rationale, education relevancy and development, humanities, working during working hours, human influence and poverty, influence of artificial intelligence. Oh, Shem, you gave me this and I'm not using it. What a naughty presenter. I'm so sorry. So you can fix it so that I can be. So am I right now if I go back to it? Okay. Thank you. I'm so sorry about that. I forgot I was having it in my hand. But it's not showing here. It's not showing there. But I'm using your thing. Yes, so I'm doing that. That's where I am. Can I use that? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I press this one. Okay. Okay, colleagues, I'll be talking while it's trying to show. I have some statistics to share that are 2023 statistics. These statistics are saying, as from the second quarter of 2023, the majority of the unemployed individuals in South Africa had an education level below matric, which is below grade 12, one of the most important grades in South Africa. Unemployed individuals that have finished their matric year represent around 40%. And they are not employed. Again, while graduates made up about 2.4% of those that are not employed, it is important to note then the age of these unemployed South Africans. Is it showing now? Thank you. As of 2023, around 18.2 million people in South Africa are living in extreme poverty, with the poverty threshold of 36 rand, 46 cents a day. And I'm thinking about these 36 rands. Remember, guys, I'm a maths education person, so numbers are my friends. It's one loaf of bread, and then you are left with 16 rand. And you can't buy paraffin if you don't have electricity. You are staying in a shack with that 16 rand. You can't buy anything to make sure that bread, there is something nutritious you add on it. I just want us to have that idea of where we are right now in the country in terms of unemployment, and we in this room are training or producing graduates, and I want us to question the type of graduates we are producing. There was a time in South Africa, I think 1996, Prof. Bantwini, we were called by the government to go and retrain teachers. And universities were like, we are not participating. And I was like, but you are the ones who are throwing dirty water in the floor. So who must clean it? Because we are the ones who are producing these graduates that are not making any change in our economy. So we are the ones who are responsible for what I've just shared with you statistically. And I want us to, especially in humanities, to take that seriously. So, if we are moving forward with this, by 2030, we will have over 19 million South Africans who are still on this 36 rand, which means they might not even be able to buy bread. Bread will be a luxury. Then the question is, what is it that they will be able to consume? And then we have to think seriously about mental health challenges. I hope our colleagues who are looking at our psychological beings are here. I want people to understand that when you give birth to a child and you can't even afford a slice of bread, you are always angry. But this anger, you direct it to this child. Because the punching bag is this child. And this is the child that goes to the classroom that the educators have to teach. So our society is highly broken. You have parents dealing with mental issues because of poverty that are transferred to children who are angry, who feel like beating the teacher in the classroom. I'm sure you've seen those. As early as 5 years old, those kids want to fight. Because people fight with them at home every day. So they want to challenge you as a teacher in the classroom. Now my question is, if you're training teachers, what kind of training are you giving them? Are you producing teachers now that will be able to normalize this abnormal situation brought by poverty to our schools. That's why we are here, to be relevant. Is your curriculum relevant? Do you hear our students when they complain about things we are teaching them? One had the picture of the locust, which I also studied at school, with all those labels, and said, you know, I memorized this very well, but it can't feed me today. I can still label the locust, but it doesn't provide. So as you train teachers, is the curricula relevant, or you training yourself through them? You multiplying yourself? If you are multiplying yourself, what is it that can you do for the society? If you can't, don't multiply nonsense. We really need to be blunt to ourselves. I need to ask myself, okay, if I want them to be like me, what is me? What contribution, what value am I adding to the society? When I see these challenges, what is it that I am doing that is innovative to change these challenges? If I am doing something, let me replicate myself, but if I'm doing nothing, really? Therefore, curriculum design, which falls under humanities, need revisiting. We do get that 50% we are allowed to be flexible, but we are not mentally flexible. We are not agile. We still want our subject matter that we are hanging on to, clinging, and those old philosophies that are not assisting our society. Let's reflect, and let's try and change what is out there. I want to share these pictures with you. I'm a mother and I'm a visual person, and I want us to think about the relevance of education and its development. Look at that beautiful baby there. She's saying, first you want me to talk, to walk and talk. That's your first thing that you want me to do. But then you want me to sit still and keep quiet like you are doing as I'm talking. You know what it does to you sitting still and keeping quiet and listening to one person? You begin to draw the person. It starts that way. And you begin to imagine things. So you are not hearing the person, by the way. And you begin to think your own things integrated with this person in front of you. I remember as a school child, I had a name for each teacher, because of their behaviors in front of us. So that when I write exam, I remember, oh, on particular days, she was wearing this shoe, and this is what she will say, and I write it in the exam. That's how we survived the education system. But then, can we continue like that? She's saying, in the beginning, you were so excited when I say a word because you wanted my vocabulary to grow. Once it was grown into sentences, you start saying, shut up, listen. Shut up, listen. Look at me. And they look at you. There's nothing innovative about looking at you. There's nothing good about what is coming out of your mouth. All its frustration. Poor children. So this speaks a lot about our education. But look at the other picture from another student. He says, what they teach in class, you see, number one is what they teach in class. And what they ask in exams. You see what they ask in exams? And this is what I wrote. These pictures speak volume to who we are and why we're here. Do we reach our students? Do we really get there? Or we are doing our show, because it's also nice to teach. You can demonstrate and do your things. Like, it's fun to teach for the teacher, but it might not be fun for the student. It might be a nightmare. So we need to look at those and look at how relevant our education is to our students. I just want to share the global goals education concept. It says, education liberates the intellect, unlocks the imagination, and is fundamental for self-respect. It is the key to prosperity and opens a world of opportunities, making it possible for each of us to contribute to a progressive, healthy society. Learning benefits every human being and should be available to all. Education liberates intellect. How can it liberate it if I have to shut up? The silencing mechanism everywhere in our society are there. If you are a voter, you are silenced by a bag of meal. You can't practice your intellect. If you are a student, you are silenced by being told you know nothing. If you are a wife, you are silenced by being told you belong to the kitchen, positioned. We have a silencing system. How can then we become intellectual? Remember how it stimulated the brain. The more I opened the mouth, the more it works. The more ideas start jumping up in my brain. But if I'm silenced, it's a oppression. What you will see, it's tears. And that is not healthy. So, in our midst as educators and researchers, are we liberating the minds? Because a liberated mind will never throw a paper on the floor. Because a liberated mind will know I am polluting the air that I need to breathe and this earth that needs to give me food. And therefore, I may need to make sure that the environment and myself are respected the same way. I won't pee in the river because that water has to circulate itself and enhance my livelihood as well as the nature and the others. Because my mind is liberated. But do we liberate our students' minds? Are we liberated intellectually? Or do we follow, or if I come to you and say, look, the Department of Higher Education has given us 10 million rands to build some infrastructure in my university. But you know, my uncle is struggling, but he's got this construction, but he has never built such a big thing. Can you please allow him when we do these tender processes so that he can get in? I will give you 1 million out of it. Is that the liberation that we are talking about that unlocks imagination and is fundamental for self-respect? Where is our self-respect? If it is not there, we are not liberated and we are not intellectual because our practices are telling what we are doing. So it is the role of humanities to go out there and nurture intellectual autonomy and moral autonomy. Because we lack moral autonomy. I will show you how much we lack moral autonomy, especially in South Africa. And therefore, if we fix that first part, we will prosper. Opportunities will open. Think about it. The reason why we are in poverty, the nature is fighting with us. I just want to remind you, just go back a little bit. In 2020, when we were locked down, what did you see the first day you came out? Beautiful nature it was clean. It was green. The air was amazing as you breathe it, because the mess makers were locked down. So, we can't prosper with the mindset we have. And look how much we accelerated filth. When the lockdown was open, we wanted to litter each and every space. There was no place to breathe. It's horrible and ugly in South Africa. Because we are not liberated mentally, and therefore prosperity is far away from us. Opportunities won't come, and we won't contribute. There won't be any progress, nor a healthy society. What I like now, things are getting worse. Have you been to public hospitals in South Africa? If you haven't, please visit. There are no beds. People are sleeping on the floor everywhere. There is a mixture now of those who are there because of physical illnesses and mental illnesses. They are mixed in one pot. Go and visit. Why? It's because we are not liberated. I'm an unliberated nurse. I can't even confront my minister when he says, accept all of them in one place, because I do not trust the education that I received that separates certain things. I can't even stand up and say, in terms of health, it will not work. I just bow. Yes, minister. Yes, minister. The yes, minister country is going down. We can't challenge one another. We are scared because we are not intellectual enough. We don't even trust our education now. We are even told by other people how to do things. I want us to look at the strikes, because I'm really nailing the role of humanities and what is happening to our graduates and our students from schools. What are they doing? How they think? When the municipality goes on strike, this is recent in Pretoria, they go and take all the garbage and pour it on the floor because they have no clue of the damage that garbage is going to do to themselves. The first ones to pour it as they breathe all that. Because they are not intellectual. We never taught them, which you learn from preschool to first grade. All this, what I'm talking about, it's not what you learn at university, but it's the kind of education and exposure they get as soon as they get to school. That they don't understand the damage to their health before it goes to others. This is what they do. And this makes them proud when their city looks like that. This is how they negotiate. Somebody has silenced them to an extent that only garbage can speak on their behalf. Remember, in Cape Town, they even used the toilet itself at the airport. Because no one wants to listen at their plight, and therefore they resort to ilindle and filth to make you aware that, can you please listen? And then look at the human capital. That is Home Affairs in South Africa. Anyway, it's just that I had that Pretoria picture because I stay in Pretoria. Anywhere in South Africa, these are the graduates that are coming from our universities that are sitting behind the counters and making sure that if you go there, you take leave because you'll be there the whole day while they move up and down doing whatever you can't tell. That's what we produce, especially in humanities. This is our mess. These are our graduates. And that's the work. They do not even feel that some of these people who are here might be diabetic, might have, because you are not allowed to eat inside there, might have quite a number of health conditions for them to stay there for the whole day. And they are also poor. They cannot afford to bring anything to sustain them out of what the family can have. But because they don't have intellect, this is what they do, and it's because of how we train them. That's why I ask, I wonder if we do have intellect. These are our leaders. This is our world. So nice to see them in parliament. Those are supposed to be our municipal cleaners. Do you see the picture above? It's either they are sleeping in a graveyard or they are sleeping somewhere where it's comfortable. The graveyards have become their comfort zones. In my hometown, in Queenstown, they go to the graveyard during working hours. Maybe some of us sleep in our offices on top of our laptops. You might never know. But those are the pictures that I could have access on. Sleeping on the job. Because we have no intellect. And then at 5 o'clock they knock off, and then they will be on strike and taking the mess on the streets because they are so entitled to get a salary that they don't even know what their purpose is. They have lost the purpose. Yes, they have lost the purpose. Look at human influence and poverty. What I want us to educate our students for is not to blame. Immediately you start saying, I am hungry because of you. You are in trouble. You can't be hungry because of me. I'm not food. You are hungry because your brain is dead. That is the reality. Look at them being choked there, stealing cables, so that they can go and sell it to that business owner who knows is destroying the country but continue to buy the cables. Because that person is rich and is destroying. Look at our beaches in South Africa. Any kind of animal in that water doesn't have survival. Ubuntu is gone completely because of those animals. But I destroy them because I've lost my identity. So all this leads to poverty. Now, what is poverty? It's a mental situation too. Poverty is a mental situation. And if you are a smart politician, you can use it for your benefit, as our politicians are doing. There will be bags of meal. There will be bags of flour and sugar, and people will vote for those bags, even if they will get them once. Because we have a government of poverty, we have poverty mindset. Because I should feel like you are insulting me when you are giving me a bag of meal while I have hands, eyes, feet. I can do better for myself. But I don't feel insulted because I'm not having any autonomy in terms of intellectual and moral autonomy. Because I want freebies. So, what do we need in Africa? Because as much as I'm focusing on my beloved country, this is an African problem. I was in Mozambique recently. I regretted, but I had to go and experience our brothers and sisters' spaces. I was so disappointed with how much infrastructure has been damaged to an extent that you can't enjoy the beauty of the place, which is what is happening in South Africa now. Quality education. It's what we desire in Africa. But what is quality education? Higher education talks a lot about quality and how you look at risks that will make you not to have this quality education. And you also, I heard my colleague here telling us how they control the postgraduate program training. 1 month this, 6 months this. I didn't hear him saying the proposal, the criteria is you must propose something that is going to make change and add value to our society. When we get this product should be a model for us to go out there and improve the status of the poorest quality education of South Africa. Zimbabwe had far more better education than us. And why do we have poor quality education? It is because of entitlement. It is because of looking at children in my classroom and look at them and say, they are poor, I must give them poor education. It is because of not being able to be proud to say, I've got this poor kid who is in my classroom, can't even have shoes. This kid, I want a president out of him. And I'm gonna make sure I educate this child. I will plan, I will be innovative, I will expose this child to the current practices of the world so that this is the doctor who will attend to me when I am a grown-up. But we don't have those educators who see that there is diamond amongst these dark stones or coals. And I can make sure I refine everything so that it comes out. That is our responsibility. All of us here. Bring out the diamond in each and every one of us. Those you are leading, those you are teaching, those you are researching with. Bring the diamond out. That's what Ubuntu is about, because I am, because you are. Because if this diamond is not coming out, I am nothing. That is what Ubuntu is about. We need gender equality and women empowerment. This, for me, is painful because I'm a woman. Stop window dressing with us. Because you are just wanting numbers and showing off that we have women leaders. I'm not that type of a leader. So be careful, don't hire me. Because I will show you off too. We are leaders with dynamic skills and ambitiousness. We are multi-talented. We cannot be put into narrow spaces. And we can't be like men, because I don't want to be a man. So if you take this big step of saying, I want a woman leader, allow her to be her. Stop saying, I'm going to find somebody to train you. No, I don't need training. I take care of my husband at home. I take care of my children. And I come to work, I do my job, I never complain. What makes you think that there is any man who can train me or to do all that? Stop that. When you promote women, you also align it with training. What training? Who is going to train a woman whom you give one sperm playing and she gives you beautiful people? But you still want to train that? Are you able to understand that? It's complex. You won't be able to train that. You'll be frustrated. Give them opportunities. They will show you. So, when I talk about women empowerment, there is a lot of it in preschool, and it hurts me, and it ends there. But I'm also talking about addressing the societal needs of a woman. I don't know if women have noticed that we are running out of husbands. You see, I'm a woman in power, and I'm noticing when I'm graduating students that the majority is girls. My girls won't have husbands. I need to go and work on these boys so that they graduate. We don't look at things in a narrow manner. We are having fewer boys graduating, and we need to take that as our agenda as women, because our children need husbands. That is what we call women empowerment. And the problem is at preschool, because that preschool teacher is always cuddling the girls and building their esteem, leaving our boys out there in the cold. And therefore, school has become an unfriendly space for boys. I don't know if you've seen that, because I see it. So we need to change things to make sure our children will have husbands. Because right now, our young girls are desperate. They go to the garbage bin and get something to make a husband. We all know that. Because we've ignored the boy child. But a woman will never ignore the son. So allow us to lead so that we can show you that we don't skew one direction. We are multi. We know we can't leave the boy. We need the girl. We can't leave the boy. Because we know the future depends on both of them. Because our girls are because of the boys. So humanities, do you see how big your job is? Social inclusion with reduction of inequalities. Still, our salaries are not the same as guys. But the reality about how we spend money as women is that you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Because we will never watch our extended families go hungry. But you give this man the money to go and look for girlfriends with it. Really bring it here. We will show you how to use it to nurture others and make sure they all go to school and the society changes for the best. The reality maybe is that women leadership has become a threat in South Africa, especially in higher education. They begin to say you are a bully. They begin to say you are too much, especially if you have integrity. They look at the soft skills. But really, stop it. Let us be. Let us take the future to where it belongs. Allow us. Stop worrying about, Sisi and her emotions. I have to have emotions. I'm human. And then stay there where there are no emotions, but you will have mental issues. Because the reason why I need to cry is to release, and you are not releasing, you are scared to release. Let's come together, build each other, and see where we can go. So this empowerment is my key thing. So therefore, to the colleague from UL, I want you to extend that to mentorship programs that matter. Because it's not only about supervising, but what kind of a supervisor are you exposing this student to becomes highly important. I like the fact that you say they start 24 hours immediately. Do they really start or they start chatting? What kind of a start is that? The quality of the beginning, because this student is fragile, wants to do this master's or this PhD, but is scared. So in that 24 hours, a damage can be caused or a beautiful relationship can grow. So let us empower these supervisors and make sure that they provide supervision to an African student. Because that is another thing we forget, where these students are coming from. The first time I could do literature review was in my master's. But I noticed that some of my colleagues were able to do literature review, which means we were going to 2 different schooling systems. And never forget that South Africa has been like that, segregated. Now, let's look at technology and human life. The use of online media platforms that we are unable to control properly causes us to meet face-to-face with much less frequency, resulting in lack of much needed social skills. I think we are the blessed ones or the lucky ones. We have social skills because we had an opportunity to socialize. We played with each other when we were growing up. But I don't know if you have a teenager in your house, because I do. They stay in a room, lock themselves with a gadget. A gadget has become a friend and everything, and you never know what's happening in that gadget. You feel like you wish you would be like a fly. And in the door, there is a written, "Do not disturb." So I do knock, and then I do say, "This is my house. I can open any door, but I can see I am irritating there." There is a need to educate our children that social skills are very important. A gadget will not take care of your emotional needs. Instead, it will increase the levels of depression. It's lonely. Even these computers, I can see he's enjoying his computer. Prof. Bantwin will tell you, after a workshop, I always tell them, when you get home, can you please close the computer and hug your wife? If you are tired, just put her on top of your knees. No computer. She needs you, you need her. She needs you, you need her. I'm saying that now to all of you here. Friday night, finish with computer. Touch your wife. Put her in your chest, chat until she sleeps. It's important. It's very important. It's a social skill. The research agenda is not going anywhere. We are still researching what was researched in 1905. We are still researching it today. But your relationship with her and your children is the priority. I'm really serious about this one. Love her, you promised that day. Don't stop. Make her feel secured, safe, and comfortable. Not the computer. Stop being in love with the computer. It's a thing. Let's be in human contact with our spouses, our children, for our mental health too. Think about it. When Uno CC was a mess to you in the office as your leader, you need that woman to reason with you. Why was that woman like that? When you get home, you need that. You need that support. You need her to shout at me in my absence and say, you know, if I see her doing that to my husband, you need that. You need to know somebody has my back and understands me. But you won't get that if you don't give. So create that space at home. I'm talking to professors because I know you think your computers are your future. People are spending more time in technology and spending less or no time for activity. Obesity is becoming a big challenge. It's a health challenge because of these gadgets. Take it away, man. Switch off your phone. It's bad that people can find us even in our blankets. That's horrible that when I'm looking for you, okay, I will find you in your blankets. Why? Switch it off, put it away, man. Get your freedom. Own yourself again. Wake up early in the morning, say to your wife, let's go for a walk. And start listening to her nonsense. Yes, we speak nonsense, but we speak it. Listen, even if you pretend you are listening, it's okay. That's all we want. Keep on nodding, even if you didn't hear. Walk with her. That's all we need. We don't need too much. It's very little that we need. Your attention. And when you come back home, it will be a beautiful home, full of love, because we return it in multiple folds. Do that. That human activity is needed. Technology creates the perfect recipe for depression. With the lack of human contact, overeating, and lack of exercise. I know we run for papers we want to publish. I'm the same, but Friday, I close my computer. You can send your emails over the weekend. You are not sending them to me. I will check them on Monday morning. I have life and I must live. And I have family. That is very important to me. They are the people who will close my eyes. You won't be there. And you will replace me anyway. So I need to take care of myself. And it's very important. I'm about to finish. We have sustainable development goals that we see that we are going to fail them. And you can see the bars from the government that universities must take over. You know, most the government, when they fail, they find a place to hide, and we are the hiding place. They have been moved towards us now, the sustainable development goals. They were designing without us. We need, therefore, to influence governance in the country, in Africa, and say, people who are supposed to lead should be technocratic. They need technical skills. For example, I was in East London. They've just renovated the beachfront so beautifully, but it is the filthiest place. And I was like, but if you can have only 2 municipal police there in that beachfront, it's enough. Who are fining people who are littering? And if people don't have money to pay at the spot, make them clean the whole street. That is innovation. Doesn't need any cent. It needs only intellectual thinking. And you do that, I'm giving you a week, they won't be littering. People need to be regulated. You know, at universities, you will never achieve anything without regulating them. They will keep on telling you it's a practice. You want to say policy, them to say policy says this, not practice. Because practices are many. So you regulate them. But no, we have a government. That's why then we need to push as higher education. Now that they say SGs are ours, let's go and teach them what to lead and what type of leaders you need. And then monitor if they do that. Because we are the real leaders who have decided to allow them to lead. So we need to take over our role. Resource management solutions. We have leaders, even in higher education, that know nothing about consequence management. People are scared of people they are leading. Leadership is not for money. I'm not money, I don't want people to love me. But I want people to love their jobs. Because it is their jobs that gives them money. Mina, I don't care if you don't love me, but I will make sure you do your job though. I will. I'll be after you. I'll be your nightmare. We need such leaders. Not people who say, no, they won't be happy. Who cares about their happiness? Really? We care about building and development and taking our country further. Who cares about, if your husband and your children can't make you happy, you think I will even be able to? Why did you take that contract? Why did you lie and say I can work under pressure? Now when there is pressure, you tell stories. I listen at you in your interviews. Stop lying then. Tell them I'm lazy. Human behavior that impedes policy implementation. In our universities, I'll talk about universities and leave our poor government. You go to procurement, it takes them 6 months to procure lights and plugs for classrooms to teach students. And 6 months of frustration to the lecturers. 3 minutes, okay, it's enough. So, what does that mean? They are impeding policy implementation. You go to finance, they own the research man. They don't want to give it to you to go and do the research, but you wrote the proposal. They can't even write a proposal. That is what is going on. And there is no consequence management. My university has taught me to beg. I wish you could read my emails. I will say, I humbly request that you please allow us to use our money for research, because that is what we applied for and we need to be able to be accountable. Please, I am begging you. I'm not lying. Those are the emails I sent. I'm really begging. Then you will hear the leader saying, you please, Prof mustn't go at that level. That's the level we are pulled down on. But I can assure you, in my division, you will never be pulled down to that level. But in other divisions, I beg. Can we please beg you to buy those chemicals for the science lab, because our students are not able to learn. We did it last year, this procurement thing, but we still don't have them. What's wrong? Those are our graduates. Don't forget that. We need to address human factors such as social, political, and ethical, because I've been talking about ethics all the time. The UNESCO Declaration of 2013 championed culture as an enabler and driver of sustainable development. But policymakers rarely draw upon the vast reservoir of cultural expertise that is the humanities. No. Yeah. Thank you. Before he takes away, what does he take away? He took away something to you. Before he takes away my apple. Oh, I must.
Yes. I hate doing this to you, especially when somebody has passion about his or her topic. And I see there are already hands. I'm receiving text. Can I be the first to go? And so forth. So we have, 10 minutes of questions and answers. So you will have to really see to it that within the 10 minutes we nudge. But I also have noted a few things here, Prof. And thanks, Prof. Maso. Because I want to believe that Professor Feza's presentation, colleagues, incisively so, brings together the theme of the conference. And maybe somebody would say, why? I mean, she's talking a lot of mental health. And I've noted down a few questions here, Prof. Is our curriculum liberating our children's intellect? Is it unlocking their imagination, the ability to develop self-respect? Is our parenting building self-respecting and nation-building characters? What has our work environments turned us into? Robots? Are our habits about reflective people who are intentional about living in harmony with themselves, their fellow beings, and their environments? So these questions, I arrive at this question: what kind of minds are our environments and faculties producing? And she's saying self-destructive minds. Professor Sodi, Professor Tuleni are NRF researchers, are collaborating together in education and in I think, gentlemen, you have a big role to play here. Professor Mautu, I'll start with you. You're the first to raise your hand.
Thank you so much, Prof. And you provoked our thoughts so much. But as you were proceeding with your presentation, I was like, oh. But then, as you proceeded, I got lost. For me, gender is not synonymous to women. And the introduction of your presentation, I liked it. I am because we are. But as we proceeded, it was like women versus men. And then I was like, where is the we? Where is the we? That dichotomy. That's where I got lost. And one other thing is the examples cited, they were more skewed to the men doing for the women. And I was like, poor husbands and men. So they must just do for us, but we mustn't do for them. That's where I lost the we. Then I felt maybe it's very important that we just have women in Daba. Where as women, we rectify the mistakes that we do so that we stay with the we rather than the dichotomy. Thank you.
It was me first.
Diplomatically, I had to let Madam Dean go first.
Of course, I agree, as an African, to defer to the elders. So my dean, Hunad, was right to speak before me. I'm not protesting. Thank you, Professor Feza. I just want quickly to respond directly to some of the allusions to the DVC research, innovation, and partnerships of the University of Limpopo. I just want to indicate that in the 10-minute slot given to the DVC, the luxury that you had of presenting a keynote was not there. In other words, we had to condense a lot, so some things could not have been said. Things like how we intervene on the part of the supervisors, empowering them so that their interaction with the students. So one would have expected one to have been sensitive about the fact that the luxury of speaking for 10 minutes, not presenting a paper, is not there in that kind of item. Otherwise, on another platform, we can actually provide a lot of data, analyze, and discuss it. Right, back to the paper. Of course, what Prof said, Prof Mautu said earlier on, I also had that lingering feeling that the scientific supremacy above emotional bashing of some things that one is not happy with have always to be de-linked in a conference, but I'm not going to repeat that because it has already been expressed. And of course, we are here in a very collegial spirit, feminism is not man-hating Ubuntu that you hinged on very helpfully. I'm so thankful. Also talks about not the difference between us and them. So men and women are in the battle together. Not only women are feminists, men are also feminists, those who opt to be so. It's only in Western kinds of thinking, epistemes, where they continue to cling to Manasi, Menekian dualism, that says a white man cannot run as fast as a black man because we, they are them. And, but let me get to the gist of your paper. I just wanted to ask, you know, I love the fact that you indicated the areas of intervention so well. Quality education, gender equality and women empowerment, social inclusion with reduction of inequalities. These are the ills of the society we are in, and you so eloquently and elaborately and in a very detailed manner sketched those. But my question is, especially as you departed, your point of departure was Ubuntu. Is it not possible to have you at any point probed or researched or investigated why we have these social ills that are not compatible with Ubuntu? How did this creep into in our midst? Quality education, have our people before neo-colonialism, neo-capitalism, because education has always been there even before colonization. Has the quality of education among the indigens?
Prof. Rafapa, I'm going to ask those two questions. We keep them.
Okay.
I see there are many hands. If you ask multiple,
Yes.
Yes.
Has the quality of education always been as abominable as you have correctly diagnosed it from a fresh, original African perspective of Ubuntu? If not, why and where should we repair?
Hold it right there.
Gender equality and women empowerment. We know that from the point of view of Ubuntu, men do not oppress women. It is telescopic research from the West that misrepresented how African men and women related.
All
so
right,
we cannot
Prof,
take
Prof,
it as it comes.
I want her to be able to take all the questions.
Okay.
Yes,
No,
because
thank
she
you.
might-
I mustn't be out of order. We need to
No,
have
you're
order.
still in
Thank
order.
you.
I just want to take few questions for the speaker to respond. Yes, please. Yes. I'm going to ask that no questions yet. Let this presenter take those two. After she has responded, I'll decide whether I take another one or two, then we close the session, please. Over to you, Professor. Would you be able to, please, the mic, the roving mic? Yes, please.
The first questions, I think you ended up with the response when you were talking about curriculum unlocking children's talent. Yeah, and then you responded at the end. The second question, I will talk about gender and we. I think I did highlight that I observed, I made an example that when we graduate girls. It is the responsibility of women to go and make sure that boys are getting quality education and they graduate, because our children won't have husbands. And that is the we that I was talking about. And I even mentioned that women are able to comprehensively bring together the boy child and the girl child. But we have skewed our mandate now to many girls, and now girls are not getting great husbands. And I don't think it's men who will make these boys come back. It's women. And I think I've indicated that. I said women, it's their role to bring back the boys on the path. Yes, maybe if I look at the dichotomy that you are talking about, I might have looked at it because the society hasn't grown. As much as we have a responsibility of bringing the society is not there yet. The society continues to judge women using men's lens. And women are different. And women need to be embraced as different as they are. The Indaba, I support it with 100%, and I would like you to initiate it. And so that we can talk and also look at how do we bring men where they belong, because we've lost them if we look at the society. Yes, at the senior position, they are still there. But as we are bringing up, we've lost them completely. We have no future leaders that are males. So that Indaba should have that agenda of what is our role. And then there is also scientific supremacy and the bringing up of Ubuntu. For me, Ubuntu is scientific itself because of how it is. It's a philosophy. And it's a philosophy that originated from education from home. It's a philosophy that's developed in an African space in terms of bringing the humanities in the space, because we were told at home through oral teaching, storytelling, values, morals that I was talking about, and intellectual knowledge on how to behave so that our society could be a healthy space. But we lost that. Those are the things we lost. And when he talks about supremacy, I agree with him. We lost those. But what is our role in bringing up those? Hence, we at Univeni capitalize with indigenous knowledge system and African heritage. So we need to bring those together. And feminism and dualism. Of course, there are many men who are feminist. But we need to see versus here. I think that is where I'm coming in. Let us see the progress and observe it and see it. If you can look at the leadership in our space, who is accepted with their own flaws and who is not accepted when they have flaws? There are different expectations between leaderships in terms of gender. So therefore, there is a need for that Indaba, maybe not only for women, but for all of us to engage and say, what does it mean to be a leader? In a society that needs sensitivity in understanding even gender itself, because gender is beyond male and female.
Thank you, Professor. I'm going to ask from the audience. We take the...
There was another question from him, but there were so many.
Yeah, that's so many. That's why I'm saying, I mean, you will always engage at your levels, Prof, because you are, yeah. I'm going to take just one last question. There's a lady, her hand has been up. 2, 3 there. From the audience, please, I'm deciding. Her hand has been up. I'm going to allow only her, then we close the session. Professor will still be here, am I right? You can still interact with her on the ground. She will still be here.
Thank you so much, Professor Feza. I think I'm asking this question for myself, but also for a lot of young scholars that I don't think we are as represented. So that's why I'm pushing. So as emerging scholars, there's a pressure to always raise a hand when in our departments there is a need. If they need someone to fill up a spot, if you need to volunteer, whatever, you need to be present. Yet we sit with the highest teaching loads, the highest research supervisor loads, and that compromises our personal research, leading us to not graduating on time and not publishing enough, like all these things that we need in order to be promoted. And so the easiest thing to compromise is our own health. So our physical health, including mental health. So I want to link, to connect to a part that you spoke about self-care and taking care of ourselves and, prioritizing interpersonal relationships and all of that. It's not always easy, right? Because the toxic environment, the work spaces is not allowing for that. And I think especially as young scholars, we are always struggling to balance that. And now there's this big push from especially like from leaders such as yourself that we need to prioritize our health, and we don't know how to do that. So I wonder if you can like just chip in on that. How do we balance that, ensuring that we are well, but at the same time sitting with these pressures that we need to show up, we need to produce, but also we need to be present in our faculties? Thank you.
We are working in toxic spaces. Help us.
Wow, it's not easy what she is bringing in because we're struggling with it at Nihss-Biennial as we speak. I think for me to get exposed to that, I had to attend a fire conference for women, and then young people were able to talk to me. So when you are a leader, some of the things you miss them. But what I can say, it is the role of us here to hear what you've just said, that the workloads need to be what we are looking for. We don't have a succession plan if we don't do that. And we have young, smart researchers that have innovative ideas that are more innovative than us. And we are losing out on that. And we lose them, they run away. One of them ran away from me after we had a chat, but it was too late for me to intervene. So they run away. What you are talking about is very important, but let me talk about your mental health in a toxic environment. What I have learned, now I will share my own experience too. I have learned to have two people in me. No Sisi, that's me personal. The DVC or the dean or the academic. Those are two people. Then once I designed that for myself, I listed what does No Sisi want. It took me a long time. You're still too young, you'll get there. And once I realized what she wants, she had to get what she wants. The reason why I'm working so hard is because No Sisi wants 1, 2, 3, 4. She must get it. I never had even conflict with No Sisi and staff. If your HOD comes and make more demands, zoom in to Thando guys and say, Thando, stay in a safe lane. And the academic in me should engage professionally on the subject matter and say, in the 40 hours that I'm employed a week, can you show me how can I fit in all these things? Those are the things you are supposed to be able to say to me. Prof, it's 40 hours. Can you then divide it for me according to what you are giving me? And also, it is the university's mandate that you graduate. And I'm talking to leaders. The staff members that are studying, it is our mandate to make sure they graduate. If they don't graduate, we are poor leaders. So we need to sit with them and identify the gaps and the challenges they are facing so that we give them the support. We have started with Prof. Bandu, and I think he has started calling them one by one and talking to them and finding a way to make sure they get the support. We support them, we have workshops and all that. But please wake up early in the morning. Wake up early. Be ahead. Start by exercising. Come back, drink a lot of water. Stop drinking these freezy that they even give us in these hotels. Stop that. Stop eating wrong things. We don't have time in academia to take care of ourselves, but start with food. Exercise every morning, even if it is 20 minutes. I do it 30 minutes every morning. I might look chubby, I'm healthier than many people. So it's not about how you look, it's about how you feel. I can run, I do all these things, but prioritize. Every morning, wake up early, and the first thing is exercise. It also helps you to deal with the daily challenges.
One thing I'm promising you, on Friday afternoon, I'm going to allow my wife to be by me. Thank you. Let's give Professor Feza another round of applause. Siyabulela. Thank you, ma. Yes, please. On that note, I see a lot of leaders in this room, and the big question is, are you supporting your staff? Are you helping promote your staff? Or are you driving them away and killing them? So let's look into that. As far as time is concerned, we are 10 minutes into our break time, tea break. I'm going to then ask that we go grab a cup of coffee outside. I believe it's ready out there, logistics. Just confirm for me that coffee is ready. And then as we go out, grab a coffee. We have posters there. Poster presenters, make sure that you are by your posters. You can always interact with our delegates as they grab coffee and tea. And then from here, by 11 o'clock, please, let's proceed to our respective parallel sessions to start with our parallel sessions. And then on that note, thank you. You've been a good audience. Sorry, the delegates, dignitaries, Prof. Maudu and Professor, the dignitaries, the deans, possible. There's a request from our media team that